I don't know. Probably my favorite song from the 80s is Walk Like a Magician.
Good stuff.
Hi folks, I'm Roger Goodwater and welcome to another edition of the Piedmont Football Show with our head coach, Coach Steve Smith. It's a gorgeous day inside here in the campus of the Piedmont Bulldogs, but outside the campus it's a little damper outside. So pack your umbrellas today, folks. Coach, another impressive outing as we travel to St. Clair County to play the Asheville Bulldogs. Talk about the game a little bit.
Well, I thought we played really well. The guys came out and executed game plan to perfection pretty much in the first half. We had a couple of turnovers on some bad luck on some tip passes that were really the only thing that we didn't do right offensively. Defensively, we played really, really well. Got a lot of 3 and outs there in the first half, and were able to build a nice lead at the halftime. Special teams were good again. We had a punt return for a touchdown, and real pleased with our effort and our progress from week 1 to week 2.
Drake Thompson, coach, is one of your more key seniors on this team, but coach, he's an outstanding running back, and I personally know how hard he's worked in the offseason, and along with Neonte Alexander and another host of running backs, coach. And I know Coach Oscar Bonds, who was an All-American at JSU, works a lot with the running backs. And talk a little bit about your running backs, because I know this past Friday, Drake Thompson and Neonte Alexander, as the game progressed, they seemed like they got stronger.
Well, we ask a lot of our running backs in our offense. They're involved heavily in the passing game. I think we had 4 or 5 passes that were caught by running backs in the game, including a long touchdown catch by sophomore Austin Brazier. Neonte, Drake, freshman Lee Stanley has been getting in the mix some in the backfield and has done a good job when his number's been called. But Coach Bonds does an excellent job with our running backs. He's got a lot of experience from his high school and college days, and he does a great job of teaching those guys, and they're getting better each week. We're a little thinner at running back this year than we've been in the past, and we've had to ask Drake to step up and carry a little bit more of the load than probably he's been required to, and he's responded to that challenge really well. Probably had the best game of his high school career against Asheville this past Friday night.
And Coach, you can't have a running game or a passing game for that matter without an offensive line who protects your running backs and your quarterbacks. Coach, coming into the season, the offense and defensive line was somewhat of a question mark due to the inexperience, not due to the players, but just due to the lack of experience, because you've been fortunate the last 2 or 3 years to have guys that have played a lot of snaps. Talk about the job your line is doing, and coming into week 3, I really think that they're hitting their stride a little bit.
Right. Well, and there's still a question mark just because of inexperience and youth. I mean, they've really progressed nicely for us. I thought our defensive linemen have played well, since the Jamboree. Offensive line, we were exposed a little bit about in the Jamboree with our inexperience, but those guys have done a tremendous job, along with Coach Walker and Coach Stovall, of gelling and meshing together, correcting mistakes, and I've been really pleased with the progress the offensive line has made. Our defensive ends, Tyler Lucas and Chase Bobbitt, both played extremely well the other night. Colton Donaldson's done an admirable job for us in the middle, and on the offensive line, we gave up 7 sacks in the Champions Challenge Jamboree, and so a lot of those guys were taking a lot of heat for that, but we've not given up a sack in the first 2 regular season games, and those guys continue to grade out better and better each week. And the thing that makes it such a pleasure for me to watch is those guys are tremendous kids, and they're wanting to work hard to get better. They know that they're being viewed and under a microscope, so to speak, as being somebody that might be a weakness on the team, but they certainly have responded to that challenge and worked their tails off to help us the last 2 weeks get 2 wins to come out the gate.
Coach, let's talk about the quarterback play. We have a senior Tyler Lusk and a sophomore Taylor Hayes. Both had some quality snaps, and then we had some younger guys come in there at the end with Cardavia Myers. Talk about your quarterback play and how you think they did this past weekend.
Quarterback play's been outstanding, from the first day. We expect a lot out of our quarterbacks, and those guys have responded to that challenge really well. They've done an outstanding job. Tyler, I think, on the year's like 15 out of 20 passing. He had a couple of tips the other night that were intercepted. Just some bad luck there, but every ball he's thrown this year has pretty much given us a chance to make a play on it. You know, he hasn't really thrown a bad ball all year long. And Taylor is much the same. He has as many opportunities to throw it as Tyler has, with Tyler getting the majority of the reps. A lot of Taylor's reps have been after the outcome has kind of already been decided, but you know, we got supreme confidence in either one of those guys. Bailey Blanchard played a little bit in the first game against Cherokee County. Need be, he can play the position, and then Cardavian is getting better every day. Cardavian being just a freshman, you know, if you watch him though, he looks the part, and he's taught himself a whole lot. I haven't spent a whole lot of time working with him, but he gets better every day when we get on the field, and you know, we got a lot of confidence if he has to play that he's going to be able to do it too.
Well, I do know Cardavian was well coached at the junior high level. I do know that. He's going to be a great player for you. And look, Coach, just talking about the quarterback play, you have a wide array of receivers that you like to throw to, and led by senior C.J. Savage. But if you watch a Piedmont game, as any good coach does, you know, they're gonna bring an extra safety over on C.J. And I think you welcome that almost, because you're blessed with having other athletes who are good route runners, and they're disciplined. And talk a little bit about your receiving core and what they bring to the table.
Well, you know, Coach Mitchell does an outstanding job with our receivers. He's got a lot of things that he does with them, drills and things of such that, you know, we got CJ that everybody knows about and gets most of the hype and the publicity, but we feel very confident that we've got 5, 6, 7 other guys that can play those positions.
Now let's check out some highlights from last week's game versus the Asheville Bulldogs. Hi folks, 8-time state champion track coach Mark Mitchell couldn't be here today. So instead we got our head coach Steve Smith of the Piedmont Football Show. And welcome back. Coach, as we start game number 2 of region play, we welcome the Ohatchee Indians to town. They're new to the region. They've actually moved up a classification. Talk a little bit about Ohatchee as we play them this Friday. We talk a little bit about the new realignment of the region.
Ohatchee is a long-standing rivalry for Piedmont. I think this is like the 46th, 47th meeting between the schools. We haven't played them since 2009. They've been kind of back and forth between 2A and 3A over the last several years, but this year with the reclassification that the AHSA does every 2 years and the creation of the 7th class, a lot of schools moved up or down. We had 2 in our region, Sax and White Plains, that moved up to 4A. 2 others in our region, Susan Moore and Cleveland. Cleveland moved down to 2A and Susan Moore moved to an adjacent region. We picked up 4 new participants in the region this year, all of them moving up from Class 2A, with Ohatchee, Pleasant Valley, Wellborn, and Westbrook Christian joining. The holdovers from the past region was us and Glencoe, Weaver, and Asheville. So, you know, Ohatchee's working with a new head coach this year. We've seen their first 2 games on films. They won their opener, and then they had a chance to win this last game against Westbrook. Westbrook got a late touchdown to kind of put the game away, but Ohatchee was in that game, had an opportunity, or had several opportunities, I thought, to make plays to win it. New coach, Coach Martin, comes to them from Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, a big 6A school. He's got a lot of head coaching experience, both in Alabama and Mississippi. Seems like a really good guy. I've talked to him several times since he's taken that job. I can tell you from watching him on film, he does a great job of teaching fundamentals. They're real simple right now with what they're doing on both sides of the ball, because it appears to me that he's wanting to get a mentality back there at Ohatchee of playing hard-nosed physical football. So they're not doing a whole lot of diverse things, but the things that they are doing, you can tell that they've polished those things, and they're running the plays on offense really well. And on the defensive side, they're very sound in what they're doing. So look for Ohatchee to come in on Friday night, not being the same Ohatchee team that you might have seen the last couple of years, and looking for a team that's going to come in here and play really well against us.
Coach, the last couple of games, to start the season off, you've been fortunate to play a lot of guys on your roster. A lot of guys have gotten playing time. So let's talk about the transition coming from junior high to varsity. I know there's a big transition as far as body size coming from the 8th to 9th grade. Talk a little bit about the transition there.
Well, we're fortunate in the fact that we play a B-team schedule every Monday night. We play a B-team game right after the junior high games. And so a lot of those 9th graders and 10th graders that may not be playing a lot or starting for the varsity on Friday night get a lot of valuable experience on Monday nights. And in football, it's one sport you can't substitute for game experience. And we've been fortunate the first couple of games to jump out to some big leads early, and those guys have got to play the 4th quarter and some of them the 3rd quarter of the first 2 games. So the experience they've gotten from that and playing in 2 B-team games already on Monday night versus Saxon versus Glencoe does nothing but to make our program better. And a lot of these guys that you see as first-time starters this year on the field were guys that were significant contributors last year on the B-team. And they worked hard to get themselves in a spot to where they can help the varsity this year. So, that transition would be tough if you were going straight from 7th and 8th grade and then just being thrown in the fire and having to try to contribute as a freshman. But having the B team is something that in my opinion, is a no-brainer. There's a lot of people though are our size that just refuse to do a B team for whatever reason, and then they lose some 9th graders maybe along the way because they're not getting to play a whole lot. And, football's a tough game to play. It's not for everybody. And, it's a lot of work, a lot of time and effort that's put in, and if you're not getting to play in the games, it's not very rewarding.
That's great. We're going to do a new segment here on the Piedmont Football Show, have a little bit of fun with Coach here. We're going to do a thing called Fan Questions. We had a couple of fans who have written in some questions for Coach here. The first one is from Eddie Salter from Natville. He says, Coach, what is your favorite of all time country song?
Well, Eddie, that kind of takes me off guard there. I was thinking we were going to be looking at football questions, but I am a country music fan, so I like a lot of country music. I liked a lot of the older country music when I was a kid. I like the newer stuff now. Probably favorite artists would probably people like Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, Toby Keith, Montgomery Gentry. I like a lot of their stuff. I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite song, but those are probably my favorite artists right now. You put on a good country station, I could listen to that all day.
Next, we have one from Jessica Lancaster. She comes to us from Vigo. She says, Coach, aside from coaching, what was something that growing up, besides a coach, you might want to be when you grow up?
First thing, I wanted to be a player. I thought I'd love to play
like a player,
professional football or professional baseball. I don't think on those terminology. I don't think like new people think. I don't know. Player to me is a guy that can play ball.
Okay.
But I grew up wanting to be a professional athlete, and I guess when you realize that your playing days are over, then the next thing you do is to stay involved with the sports, is to coach. I always liked math in school, so when I was in school at Jacksonville State, I actually got a degree in computer science. I thought I might be one of those math geeks, but ultimately, my heart was in coaching and teaching. I like having an opportunity to work with young people and try to make a positive impact in their life and to try to teach them the values of hard work, the things that football teaches. So that's how I wound up into coaching.
And we have one more from Larry Ledbetter from Possum Trot. He said, Coach, what's your favorite thing about the game day experience at the Field of Champions?
Well, I went to a lot of high school football games. I've been a coach for 20 years, and I can remember going to all the games when I was a kid in elementary and middle school, and the atmosphere at this place for a home game, when you got the stands packed, the crowd's loud, the band's playing, the cheerleaders are cheering, and everybody's on their feet making noise, and you got a great opponent in there, and it's a really tight game. I think that this place is one of the most difficult places to play at for any opposing team to come into. Our guys do a great job of defending our home turf, and you don't find many schools in Alabama in high school period that tailgate, much less a school our size. And you go down there, the Booster Club has 200, 300 people here on a given Friday, starting at 5 o'clock to tailgate and get ready for the game. And then just all the people that we have that play a part in making the game day experience so much fun. From the pup club to the people that's working the gates and carrying the chains and working the press box, and the hospitality extended to the officials by some of our chain crew people, and parking attendants that are getting people parked and then coming in and supporting the Bulldogs. Having the dog house open where they're selling merchandise and stuff that people are looking to get every year. And just the overall positive experience of coming to the game and Piedmont walking away with a victory. I mean, I don't know of anything that could be any more fun for a small town like ours.
I agree. That's going to wrap it up here on the Piedmont Football Show for this week's edition. Join us next week as we do it all over again. Thanks, Coach.
Sir.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.